In my last video, we talked about ways to improve the value of your car when you go to sell it. You're deciding whether or not to fix issues that it has. So now we get to talk about the other side of things. If you want to not be thinking about maintenance and repair costs during your car ownership, what brands should you buy? Let's talk about it. Before we get started, if this is the type of content that you want to see where a repair shop owner talks about ways in which customers should approach their interactions with repair shops, this is the channel for you. So make sure to subscribe, leave comments. We will be interactive and answer any questions you have in the comments section. And if you like the video, please help us out, leave a like. It helps us show up higher in the YouTube algorithm. So let's get to this video. So first, I want to talk about the types of cars that you should focus on looking at if you want to lower your cost of ownership when it comes to maintenance and repairs. So in this video, we are specifically talking about cars that I have seen through fixing thousands of cars every single year in our multiple repair shops at Driven Auto Care, which makes actually withstand the test of time and rack up lots of miles without getting hit with any major repair bills. That's kind of the criteria that I'm putting out there for this. That doesn't mean you're never going to have any maintenance bills. That doesn't mean that your car is going to be bulletproof reliable. That doesn't mean that you should only take it to Jiffy Lube and I'm never going to see you again. But it means that in general, your repair costs are going to be low. Your cost of parts is low. Labor operations are easy, so your cost of labor is low. And things generally may wear out, but they're not breaking, especially major components on the car. So first, let's talk about some of the very popular economy brands that exist today. You have Toyota, Honda, and Mazda are the three that I want to talk about. And then in addition to that, you have two luxury brands. You have Lexus and you have Acura being the luxury brands associated with Toyota and Honda. Let's talk about Toyota Lexus first. Toyota and Lexus have the best reliability reputation in the entire car industry, and it is for good reason. If well maintained, any reasonable Toyota or Lexus should be able to last you 300,000 plus miles. We have multiple customers with 300,000 plus mile Lexuses and Toyotas, and the main reason for this is that the big components, the engine and the transmission, have virtually no known issues in the 21st century. Yes, there are Tundras that grenade their engines at very low miles. Outside of manufacturer recall situations, that's been my general experience, is that pretty much all Toyota engines and transmissions from that period are super reliable. The chassis are super solid. There's no electrical gotchas. They're just boring and good cars. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I'm a car enthusiast, and frankly, I find Toyota and Lexus to be the most sleep-inducing brand that you can possibly own. And that doesn't have to be your experience. It may be that you don't really care or you do get enjoyment out of your Toyota or Lexus, but that's my experience, is that you get into one of them and they are just not that interesting or exciting of cars. But hey, they are the most practical tools that exist in the world today of automotive. Now, I should also say in this video, I'm actually excluding most electric cars because the variability that I have seen in the reliability and cost of ownership of electric cars is so high, and there's just not enough data out there yet for me to be comfortable really opining on it. Even the early Tesla Model S's, some of them have over 1 million miles on them now with no issues whatsoever, and others are getting $40,000 battery replacements at 100,000 miles. So I can't really say whether they're reliable or not. I think it depends super heavily on how you charge. So unlike traditional gas-powered cars where, you know, if you don't do an oil change for 50,000 miles, of course you're going to have problems. That's a known maintenance need for those cars. But when it comes to EVs, if your problem is related to charging, and that's something you do every single day, that's as if you put gas in your car the wrong way, you go to the wrong gas station, and all of a sudden you're having major maintenance and repair costs because of that. So I don't really want to put EVs into this conversation at this point. So Toyota, Lexus, number one. To that point though, I was just reminded of something. Priuses will have battery and other hybrid system issues, and I'm sure other Toyota hybrids will as well. So that is one thing to keep in mind. You'll get hit with the $3,000 to $5,000 battery inverter type repairs, which they exist. They're not the end of the world. You can do them pretty easily. There are tons of resources out there to lower the cost of those types of repairs, but they are still kind of high. Okay, let's talk about the other brands here, Mazda and Honda and Acura. Mazda is actually going to be my next highest reliability score if I were scoring these. And the reason for that is because they put essentially the same engine in all of their cars. And because they do that, it means that parts and engineering is super straightforward and easy and readily available and cheap to replace parts, to do labor. They are just simple cars. And because they make such a limited number of models outside of the Miata, almost all of them have a very similar engine. They're engineered exactly the same. And so it's just an easy car to work on. There's never any major repair costs that I've seen with Mazdas. This is one where the only experience I've had with doing an engine replacement on a Mazda was because they didn't do oil changes. So we did have to put an engine in a Mazda once because it had been several tens of thousands of miles since their last oil change. But now I want to talk about Honda and Acura. You may think that Honda and Acura are reliable because they're associated super closely with Toyota in terms of their positioning in the market. But when it comes to actual reliability in the post-2010 Honda and Acura segment that I'm seeing that are flooding the used market now, these 5 to 10-year-old cars that you may be looking at, they actually have a lot of problems. We have to do a lot of head gasket replacements on Accords, Civics, Odysseys, Ridgelines. All these types of cars are seeing pretty significant failures of expensive issues. Fuel injectors is another big one. So those are the two main ones, along with transmission issues. So transmission, fuel injectors, and head gaskets are known issues at not that high of mileage on Hondas and Acuras. So although they live in the same world as Toyota in terms of reliability reputation, in our experience, I really wouldn't put them in the same category. Honda is still great for the most part. Things are super cheap, super easy to work on, very straightforward, easy to maintain, not overly complicated, but there are some engineering flaws in their recent models that are causing some more expensive repairs earlier on in a car's life. Okay, the next automotive segment I want to talk about here is domestics. And so I'm in the US, I'm talking here about domestic US cars manufactured by Ford, GM, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, all those. Here's my experience overall. I'm not going to take the time to go into a ton of specifics, though there are some exceptions to what I'm going to talk about here. But overall, this is the advice that I want to give to you watching this video. Ford, Lincoln, GM products, you got Buick, Cadillac, GMC, Chevy. They make two different segments of cars. They make cheaper cars, and they did, for the most part, make cheaper cars, like cars that used to be in the rental car fleet, pretty much. You're thinking about the Chevy Cruze, the Buick Encore, cars like that are smaller, tend to be less expensive. They were built to a price point. And so their longevity reputation is not very good. And we do see, unfortunately, a lot of Ford Focuses, Cruzes, like I said, cars like that have pretty significant engine, transmission, turbo, and similar expensive component replacements needed in the 100 to 200,000 mile range. And so yeah, they might make it that far, but they're pretty worn out by the time they get into the mid 100,000 range. And so they come in with these big repair lists. They may be trying to keep them on the road and limp them along. Their customers may be doing that. But at the end of the day, that's kind of all they got. And so if you're looking to really get your money's worth out of these cars and keep them for a long period of time, you will want to avoid getting the cheaper end of those two brands. On the more expensive end, you're talking about big SUVs and trucks from Ford and GM. Those are going to be more reliable. They put a ton of money into the optimization of the engineering of those vehicles. And so yes, they do have occasional problems. The Ford 10-speed transmissions, for example. You do have to avoid certain years of certain trucks from Ford because they have a transmission that is known to be Swiss cheese and have electrical concerns. But in general, Ford and GM, trucks and SUVs, the bigger stuff, the more expensive stuff from them that they are most known for is more reliable, and you can expect a lower cost of ownership with those vehicles. The one I've missed or have skipped in all of this is the Stellantis group, the Chrysler, Dodge, Ram products. These are all pretty well known to be unreliable. And that's unfortunate. We have a lot of customers with Chrysler Town and Countries, Chrysler 300Cs, Rams with not that many miles on them that are experiencing really expensive failures. Head gaskets, transmissions. It's just not a type of vehicle that I would really want you to get into if your high priority is in reducing your cost of maintenance. By contrast though, and this is something that's going to come up in the next topic as well, if you're looking at luxury, if you're looking at high-end materials and features in cars, then they are actually really good at that. I think they have very good looking cars. The interiors are often a really nice place to be. Pick your poison. I think personally, I have Fords and have owned multiple brands, all the different domestic brands, and it's just been a very long-standing reputation that is true, so I'm really just confirming it for people here. Ford and GM, expensive stuff good, cheap stuff bad. All Stellantis group products, don't go for them. All right, the last group of cars I want to talk about now is European cars. So we're talking about BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes for the most part. There's other brands as well, but those are the main ones that sell the bulk of cars in the US here. And so I'm sticking to German because Land Rover is not even worth talking about from a cost of ownership perspective, both in terms of depreciation and maintenance and repair. Other British brands, Spanish, French, we don't get a lot of that here. Eastern European, same thing, but talking about the Germans, it's an interesting piece of advice because it's actually the opposite of the domestics. In my experience, the more expensive a German car is, the more expensive it is going to be to maintain and repair. Not even from a relative cost perspective. Overall, you're just talking about the complicated engineering that goes into those cars in terms of vacuum, electronics, different experimental and new cutting edge technology. All of that stuff fails and becomes obsolete so fast as they are trying to be right at the cutting edge of the future with the technology that they put into cars. They just don't last. And so if you look at big S-classes, SUVs from any of these brands, A8, 7 Series, they depreciate like crazy right out of the gate because these failures are like a known fact of reality in these cars. And especially as we get into the newer stuff where much, much, much more technology keeps being put into these cars, that's a problem you're going to continue to see. By contrast, let's look at cheap European cars. If you look at a base model Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, they're actually decent cars, the newer ones especially. They have all the technology you need, but no overcomplicated stuff that you may or may not want. And instead, they have a very reliable powertrain, and they are designed for that European car consumer who is more conscious of cost of ownership. And so they're easy to maintain, they're simple engineering, parts cost isn't crazy, labor operations tend to be easier. And so overall, you can actually buy into those cheaper European cars, provided you get some that are well maintained if you're buying used, without having to worry too much. Overall, I would actually say the simplicity of those cheap European cars is the main thing that serves them well. There's just not that much to break. So, in my experience, this started in the early 2000s. You had cars that were super simple. They're not high-strung. They're not over-engineered. And they just have what you need to do the job. And so I've even got several employees with very high mileage BMWs and Mercedes from the early 2000s that just keep working, because why wouldn't they? They're simple cars, easy to maintain, parts are cheap, they can keep them going. So that one's probably the weirdest one that you didn't expect about Europeans. But let's recap the whole thing. Toyota, Lexus, good. Mazda, second, good if you want overall reduced cost of ownership in boring cars. Honda and Acura, probably not actually as good as these other two makes. Moving on to domestics, if you need a larger vehicle, if you're looking at trucks and SUVs, getting a GM or a Ford truck or SUV nowadays, I think is your best bet. You stay away from Stellantis products. You don't get a cheaper Ford or GM product because they're typically built to an economical price point. And then lastly, we have European cars. Stay away from the expensive stuff. The cheap stuff's usually a safe bet if it has been well maintained. Starting in 2012, 2013 or so, or pre-2007. The recession years were not good to European manufacturers as much, but on either end, you're in good shape with a reliable car that's not that expensive to maintain. And that's what I got for this video. So what do you think? Did I get it right? Not even close. Arun, you're crazy. I like to think this is data backed, though I didn't give you any of that data. Is what it is. I'm doing this off my gut more than anything else, but also from my experience owning 80 plus cars at this point in my life. So between seeing all the different repairs come through the shops and my own experience, if you're looking for a new car, this is what I think you can buy to truly have a reduced cost of maintenance and repairs during your ownership. So that's what I got for this week's video, and until next week, stay driven.